My name is Gregory Farron, and in 1969 I was a supply sergeant in the Air Force in the Republic of Vietnam. My work allowed time off to travel in the Mekong Delta. Carrying a camera, I journeyed from the outskirts of the nearby urban areas to the villages I could visit in a single day. I had made friends with my squadron's aerial photo unit, and they'd agreed to provide me with weekly prints of any photos that I took. It was easy to find children to photograph, and once I gained a reputation for returning to the area with copies of the photographs, I became a very popular traveler. One problem with shots of groups of children was that everyone in the picture wanted a copy of the photograph. It really drove the print shop crazy, and I often carried hundreds of prints with me in plastic sleeves tied with parachute straps over my shoulder. Once I learned how to disguise my camera work and to carry the packets of prints under my fatigues on my back, I began to blend better into my environment. I spent less time attracting attention and more time able to see what was around me. I also began to communicate simple greetings and introductions and found that quiet and respectful demeanor served me very well. I learned how to take photos without looking through the lens and began to capture more candid actions. I learned how to move into a scene without asking much of those already in it. I wanted to learn how to stop the big smiles of the children and capture their real feelings. I also started taking shots from a distance, having acquired a cheap telephoto lens that fit my camera. I was learning how to frame the shot, and I experimented with how I placed my subjects in the shot. While the photos provided me with an opportunity to test out procedures that I would later perfect to photograph, develop, and then return photos to the children in the area, I found it difficult to locate kids in the urban settings, and I knew that I wanted to learn more about them and about their lives. My journeys during the first few months were single-day visits in which I walked or hitchhiked outside of the areas of routine military contact. I found pathways through the villages and along rivers, and I was always aware that I needed to follow those pathways back in order to be able to get back to the base. By taking photographs of the kids along the way, I was able to and by returning the next week with prints of those photographs, I was able to ensure that there was a friendly, supportive community along the way as I walked, and one that was interested in my welfare and survival. They also began over time to open up their homes and their lives to me, and I was able to learn more about them as I progressively got farther and farther away from the military zones and deeper into areas that few Americans and military people had ever. Because I wanted to explore as much of it as possible, and because those I photographed were not always easy to find later, I began to build a network of assistants throughout the town. They were usually young teenagers, not much older than those kids I was photographing. They knew their neighborhoods, and they were interested in making sure I was safe and that the kids who I had photographed received the prints. I tried to keep going to new areas. I'd been advised not to develop too much of a predictable routine. Mainly, I wanted to see how far out of the town I could get and still get back to the base at night. I began to explore pathways that the locals walked. I abandoned the roads and I followed the trails alongside the rivers. From these next few photographs, you'll see that for quite a while I was fascinated with barbed wire and children. It seemed to me that it was everywhere in their lives and that they had easily adapted to it being around them and it becoming almost a plaything.